Hello. So. It's me, Kurt Vonnegut Jr., and I'm here to read out chapter 7 of my book. I'll have one hand free and I have to decide between my pipe or my whiskey. I'll go with whiskey. So, let's begin. Chapter 7. Victory. There is no reason why God cannot triumph as often as evil. I've already fucked that up. There is no reason why good cannot triumph as often as evil. The triumph of anything is a matter of organization. If there is such a thing as angels, I hope that they are as organized along the lines of the mafia. Winston Niles Rumford. It has been said that Earthling civilization so far has created 10,000 wars, but only 3 intelligent commentaries on war. The commentaries of Thucydides, of Julius Caesar, and of Winston Niles Rumford. Winston Niles Rumford chose 75,000 words so well for his pocket history of Mars that nothing remains to be said, or to be said better, about the war between Earth and Mars. Anyone who finds himself obliged in the course of a history to describe the war between Earth and Mars is humbled by the realization that the tale has already been told to glorious perfection by Rumford. The usual course for such a discomforted historian is to describe the war in the barest, flattest, most telegraphic terms, and to recommend that the reader go at once to Rumford's masterpiece. Such a course is followed here. The war between Mars and Earth lasted 67 Earthling days. Every nation on Earth was attacked. Earth's casualties were 461 killed, 223 wounded, none captured, and 216 missing. Mars's casualties were 149,315 killed, 446 wounded, 2 captured, and 46,634 missing. Mars's casualties were pretty bad by the look of it, weren't they? Not a soul was left on Mars. Not a building was left standing on Mars. The last waves of Martians to attack Earth were to the horror of the Earthlings who pot-shotted them. Old men, women, and a few little children. The Martians arrived in the most brilliantly conceived space vehicles ever known in the solar system. And as long as the Martian troops had their real commanders to radio control them, they fought with a steadfastness, a selflessness, and a will to close with the enemy that won the grudging admiration of everyone who fought them. It was frequently the case, however, that the troops lost their real commanders, either in the air or on the ground. When that happened, the troops became sluggish at once. Their biggest trouble, however, was that they were scarcely better armed than a big city police department. They fought with firearms, grenades, knives, mortars, and small rocket launchers. They had no nuclear weapons, no tanks, no medium or heavy artillery, no air cover, and no transport once they hit the ground. The Martian troops, moreover, had no control over where their ships were to land. Their ships were controlled by fully automatic pilot navigators, and those electronic devices were set by technicians on Mars, so as to make the ships land at particular points on Earth, regardless of how awful the military situation might be down there. The only controls available to those on board were two push buttons on the center post of the cabin, one labeled on and one labeled off. The on button simply started a flight from Mars. The off button was connected to nothing. It was installed at the insistence of Martian mental health experts who said that human beings were always happier with machinery they thought they could turn off. The war between Earth and Mars began when 500 Martian Imperial commandos took possession of the Earthling moon on April 23rd. They were unopposed. The only Earthlings on the moon at the time were 18 Americans in the Jefferson Observatory, 53 Russians in the Lenin Observatory, and 4 Danish geologists at large in the Marie Imbrium. The Martians announced their presence by radio to Earth, demanding Earth's surrender, and they gave Earth what they described as a taste of hell. This taste, to Earth's considerable amusement, turned out to be a very light shower of rockets carrying 12 pounds a piece of TNT. Oh dear. So it seems, nuts, yelled the real commander of the parachute ski marines. There was another lull. A Martian scout ship, and only a single Martian scout ship, far out in space, broadcast to Earth that another attack was on its way. An attack more terrible than anything ever known in the annals of war. Earth laughed and got ready. All around the globe there was the cheerful popping away of amateurs familiarizing themselves with small arms. Fresh stocks of thermonuclear devices were delivered to the launching pads, and 9 tremendous rockets were fired at Mars itself. One hit Mars, wiped the town of Phoebe and the army camp off the face of the planet. 2 others disappeared in a chronosynclastic infundibulum. The rest became space derelicts. Bollocks. It did not matter that Mars was hit. There was no more. There was no one there anymore. Not a soul. The last of the Martians were on their way to Earth. The last of the Martians were coming in 3 waves. The first wave came in. That was the Army Reserves. The last of the trained troops, 26,119 men and 721 ships. A half an Earthling day behind them came 86,912 recently armed male civilians in the 1,738 ships. They had no uniforms and had fired their rifles only once, and had no training at all in the use of any other weapons. A half an Earthling day behind those wretched irregulars came 1,391 unarmed women, 52 children in 46 ships. That was all the people and all the ships that Mars had left. The mastermind behind the Martian suicide was Winston Niles Rumford. The elaborate suicide of Mars was financed by capital gains on investments in land, securities, Broadway shows, and inventions. Since Rumford could see into the future, it was easiest pie for him to make money grow. The Martian treasury was kept in Swiss banks in accounts identified only in code numbers. The man who managed the Martian investments held the Martian procurement program and the Martian Secret Service on Earth. The man who took orders directly from Rumford was Earl Moncrief, the ancient Rumford butler. Moncrief, given the opportunity at the very close of servile life, the very close perhaps, became Rumford's ruthless, effective, and even brilliant Prime Minister of Earthling Affairs. Moncrief's facade remained unchanged. Moncrief died of old age in his bed in the servants' wing of the Rumford mansion 2 weeks after the war ended. The person chiefly responsible for the technological triumphs of the Martian suicide was Salo, Rumford's friend and titan. Salo was a messenger from the planet Tralfamador. I don't remember writing it like that. Well, whatever. Probably a printing error. In the small Magellanic Cloud. Jesus, I was high when I wrote this. Salo had technological know-how from a civilization that was millions of Earthling years old. Salo had a spaceship that was crippled, but even in its crippled condition, it was by far the most marvelous spaceship that the solar system had ever seen. His crippled ship, stripped of all luxury treasures, was the prototype of all the Mars ships. While Salo himself was not a very good engineer, he was nonetheless able to measure every part of his ship and draw up plans for its Martian descendants. Most of all, Salo had in his possession a quantity of the most powerful conceivable source of energy, the UWTB, the universal will to become. Salo generously donated half of his supply of the UWTB to the suicide of Mars. Earl Moncrief, the butler, built his financial, procurement, and Secret Service organizations with the brute power of cash and profound understanding of clever, malicious, discontented people who lived behind their servile facades. It was people who took the Martian money and the Martian orders gladly. They asked no questions. They were grateful for the opportunity to work like termites on the skills of the established order. Or the sills, sorry. The sills of the established order. They came from all walks of life. The modified plans of Salo's spaceship were broken down into plans for components. The plans for the components were taken by Moncrief's agents to the manufacturers all over the world. The manufacturers had no idea what the components were for. They knew that only the profits on the making of them were fine. The first 100 Martian ships were assembled by Moncrief's agents in secret deposits, or depots, right on Earth. These ships were charged with the UWTB given to Moncrief by Rumford at Newport. They were put into service at once, shuttling the first machines and the first recruits to the iron plain on Mars, where the city of Phoebe would rise. When Phoebe would rise, every wheel was turned by Salo's UWTB. I hope this thing is on. It was Rumford's intention that Mars should lose the war, that Mars should lose it foolishly and horribly. As a seer of the future, Rumford knew for certain that this would be the case, and he was content. He wished to change the world for the better by means of the great and unforgettable suicide of Mars. He says in his pocket History of Mars, any man who would change the world in a significant way must have swordsmanship. Showmanship, bollocks. Showmanship. Swordsmanship too, think about it. A genial wilderness to shed other people's blood, and a plausible new religion to introduce during the brief period of repentance and horror that usually follows bloodshed. Oh bollocks, there's a camera crew. Fuck. Oh no, I'm gonna go the other way. They're looking for me, see, I've escaped. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna run. Fuck. I'm gonna actually pause the video. Oh no. Oh shit. Okay, alright, whatever. Fuck. I didn't expect to see them out here. I thought they'd be in the mansion. Alright, okay. I'll get back to you. Don't remember where I was. I'll come back to this. I need some more whiskey anyway. See you in a bit.